Hello, passionate Golden State Warriors fan. You who cheer with every three-pointer launched by Stephen Curry already know what it feels like to experience that unique thrill that only the Bay Area team can provide. But take a deep breath, because what we're about to explore now could shake not only the foundations of the Chase Center, but also turn the entire balance of the Western Conference upside down. The subject is heavy, full of speculation that could leave any fan on edge. Before diving into this narrative that could become reality at any moment, make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave your powerful like, and turn on notifications. What's coming could mark the beginning of one of the boldest and most vibrant chapters of the Steve Kerr era. And if you think you've already seen everything from this team, get ready, because this storyline has the potential to change everything you know about the Warriors. Now close your eyes for a moment and imagine. Think of one of the most explosive players in the league, the one who makes entire arenas shake with violent dunks, who can turn a game around in just seconds, and who carries irreverence as a trademark in every play. Imagine that athlete wearing the blue and gold of Golden State. Well, that name is already circulating behind the hottest doors, Ja Morant. And no, this isn't an invention from an excited fan or cheap gossip from social media. We're talking about consistent rumors, about conversations involving agents, executives, and even league veterans. The debate is already clear. What would happen if Morant were inserted into Kerr's system? The idea sounds almost unreal, but it's extremely tempting. On one side, the greatest shooter of all time, capable of drawing entire defenses with simple off-ball movements. On the other, an aggressive and explosive guard who attacks the paint like lightning. A contrast of styles that, if well adjusted, could transform into one of the most devastating duos modern basketball has ever seen. Picture Curry stretching the defense with his deadly long-range accuracy while Morant attacks with speed and power in one-on-one situations. What defense in the Western Conference could withstand that? Of course, in practice, nothing would be simple. Morant is the face of the Memphis Grizzlies, the reference point for a passionate fan base, the symbol of a franchise that bet on him to build its future. Taking this player away would not only be costly, but practically a piece of Memphis's soul. However, if there's one organization that has already shown courage to take calculated risks, it's the Golden State Warriors, and that's exactly where the discussion begins to gain traction. Morant's arrival wouldn't just be an addition, it would be a total reinvention of the team's offensive identity. And the most fascinating thing is that the rumors don't stop with Morant. Two other names are starting to echo more and more through the halls of San Francisco: Ja Abando and Kai Sotto. Maybe they don't yet carry the weight of superstars, but they have something the Warriors have always known how to value: raw talent and hunger to prove their worth. Anyone who followed the last FIBA Basketball World Cup saw firsthand the impact of these two young Filipinos. Beyond the statistics, they carry enormous cultural representation, especially in a region with one of the largest Filipino-American communities in the United States. Abando is pure energy. He doesn't step on the court to be a bystander. He presses, runs, defends, drives, shoots from outside, and ignites the whole team. He's the type of multifunctional player Steve Kerr loves to refine. More than numbers, he brings intensity, the spark that can change games and fire up the bench. On top of that, he would be a powerful cultural link with Bay Area fans, who would see themselves reflected in his tireless effort. And then we have Kai Sotto, a center standing at 2 meters and 21 tall, with rare mobility for someone of his size. He's not just a big body parked in the paint. He can pass, reads the game well, can develop mid-range shooting, and runs the floor with surprising agility. Since Andrew Bogut, the Warriors have been looking for the perfect center. Looney provides consistency, JaVale McGee brought energy, but neither offered the combination of height, court vision, and potential that Sotto carries. If developed properly, he could become a respected defensive anchor without compromising the team's fast and dynamic offense. Now, visualize this scenario: Curry running the offense, Sotto setting firm screens, Morant slashing at speed ready to attack, and Abando positioned in the corner waiting to punish any defensive rotation. What defense would have an answer to so many simultaneous threats? That's exactly what makes this possible move so exciting. It's not just about adding talent, it's about creating chemistry capable of redefining opponents' strategies. And it's not just about tactics. Morant, Abando, and Sotto would bring something the locker room has been missing: hunger. Morant wants to prove he can be a champion. Abando wants to show he belongs at the highest level. Sotto carries the weight of representing a country passionate about basketball. None of them would come to San Francisco just to participate. They would come to leave a mark, to build history. And if there's something the Warriors understand, it's how to turn ambition into glory. Over the years, this franchise has proven that it doesn't fear changing paradigms. In 2015, when they won the title playing at a fast pace and betting on three-pointers, many analysts doubted. They said it wasn't sustainable, that championships couldn't be won that way. Time proved otherwise. Not only did it work, it revolutionized basketball. Now, boldness may be about to repeat itself in another form. The union of Curry, Morant, Abando, and Sotto would be more than a gamble. It would be a manifesto that the Warriors remain willing to take risks to stay at the top. But the impact of this potential move goes beyond the court. Few franchises understand as well as the Warriors the importance of combining athletic talent with marketing vision and global expansion. And here comes a point that few are noticing: the power of representation. With the arrival of Abando and Sotto, the connection with the Filipino community in the Bay Area would be immediate. We are talking about thousands of fans who already live basketball intensely and who would see two of their compatriots wearing the blue and gold. The effect would be enormous not only in the stands, but also in jersey sales, digital engagement, and the global presence of the franchise. And if we return to the sporting aspect, it is impossible not to highlight how well Sotto would fit into Steve Kerr's system. Unlike heavy big men who slow down the pace of the game, Sotto has the mobility to switch on the perimeter, something essential in the Warriors' defense. He would not only be a wall in the paint, but also a versatile piece, capable of protecting the rim and at the same time contributing to maintaining offensive flow. This means that, with the right adjustment time, he could become the big man the team has been searching for years: tall, agile, and intelligent. Abando, on the other hand, carries the profile of players who, throughout Warriors' history, have become key pieces even without the spotlight. Andre Iguodala and Sean Livingston are clear examples. They were not the stars gracing newspaper covers, but they were decisive in moments of glory. Abando could follow that same path. His style of play brings energy, intense defense, and the ability to change the pace of a game within minutes. He is exactly the kind of player who can make the difference in the playoffs, when every detail matters. Coming back to Morant, what stands out is how he would completely change the way opponents prepare to face the Warriors. Today, the main criticism of the team is the near-exclusive reliance on the perimeter. But imagine a defense trying to deal with Curry, one of the deadliest shooters in history, while also handling Morant, one of the most explosive rim attackers in the NBA. Doubling on Curry would open up space for Morant, and collapsing on Morant would leave Curry free. In the middle of this equation, you would still have Abando and Sotto, ready to punish any defensive slip. It is an almost impossible puzzle to solve. Of course, none of this would come without obstacles. Morant would need to adjust his mindset to integrate into a collective system. He has always been the center of attention in Memphis, but with the Warriors, he would have to learn to share the spotlight. This adaptation could be a challenge, but also an opportunity to grow. Surrounded by experienced veterans and under Steve Kerr's leadership, Morant would find a more disciplined environment with a consolidated winning culture. It would be the perfect scenario for him to mature and elevate his game even further. For Abando and Sotto, the challenge would be different. They would need to accelerate their learning curve to adapt to the NBA's frantic pace. But this is exactly where the franchise excels. The Warriors have a history of developing talent while remaining competitive. There is no rush, but there are real opportunities. This means that, even without immediate responsibility, they could grow gradually until becoming trusted pieces in decisive moments. And this entire fit does not depend solely on individual talent, but on locker room culture. The Warriors are known for their discipline, unity, and trust in the system. That is the secret that has transformed isolated talents into a winning collective machine. The arrival of Morant, Abando, and Sotto would only work because there is already a solid foundation ready to welcome them. Curry's leadership, Kerr's earned respect, and the franchise's organizational structure create the ideal environment for any player to flourish. But think about the domino effect. Morant's presence would open up space for Curry to play more off the ball, prolonging his career and reducing the offensive burden he has carried for years. Morant, in turn, would have the freedom to be aggressive without forcing as much, since he would have a constant perimeter threat by his side. Abando would bring that suffocating defense that always proves invaluable in playoff series, and Sotto would be shaped with patience, gradually stepping in until becoming a reliable big man. All this would result in a more balanced, more versatile team, infinitely harder to stop. And here lies another crucial detail: the rivals. Lakers, Nuggets, Clippers, Mavericks, all of them would have to adjust. The Lakers, for example, are used to dealing with Curry's outside shooting threat. But how would they stop Morant attacking the rim with ferocity? The Nuggets, dominant with Jokic, could run into problems against a young, athletic big like Sotto, who would bring mobility to disrupt the Serbian's game. And the Thunder, who are on the rise, would have to speed up their development process to try to compete with a team combining experience, youth, and explosiveness. This is the point that few are seeing. If this move materializes, it would not only shake up the Warriors, it would change the entire dynamic of the NBA. Just as in 2015 the team forced the whole league to reinvent itself with the three-point-based style, now it could once again dictate the trend. The combination of a historic shooter with an explosive finisher plus promising young talents would usher in a new era of basketball. But at the core, what does all this represent for the fans? It represents the possibility to dream again. After so many years of glory, many wonder what the franchise's next step will be. And the answer may lie precisely in boldness, not living off memories, but building an even brighter future. A future that, if this daring plan comes true, could once again transform San Francisco into the center of the basketball world. And there is one detail that cannot be overlooked: the psychological factor. Morant, despite his undeniable talent, has already faced questions off the court. His image has taken recent hits, and many critics say he needs to mature in order to become the leader of a championship team. This is precisely where the Warriors could offer the ideal environment. Steve Kerr and the franchise's culture have always been able to transform careers. Players who were once written off found in San Francisco the space to be reborn, while young talents learned to handle the pressure of performing at the highest level. Morant would finally have a solid structure around him to grow not only as an athlete, but as a central figure in the league. Meanwhile, Abando and Sotto would bring a different kind of freshness. They do not arrive carrying the label of superstars, but they bring with them a fire the Warriors have always known how to value: the hunger to prove they belong. The cultural representation both carry could further fuel their determination. Representing the Filipino community in such a successful franchise would be a source of pride and motivation to turn every minute on the court into a battle for recognition. That kind of energy is contagious, and it would be no surprise if they quickly won over the locker room and the fans. From a tactical point of view, it is easy to imagine scenarios where this combination would create chaos for opposing defenses. Picture Curry and Sotto running a simple pick and roll. Naturally, the defense is worried about Curry's shot. At that very moment, Sotto rolls to the basket, drawing coverage. Morant, alert, cuts at full speed, receives the perfect pass, and finishes with a dunk. And if the defense collapses in the paint, Abando is positioned on the perimeter, ready to punish with a three-pointer. One play, multiple possibilities, all capable of destabilizing any defensive system in the league. And if we think beyond the court, the cultural impact would be tremendous. Basketball is already a national passion in the Philippines, and the NBA has long dreamed of strengthening its presence in that market. Bringing Abando and Sotto into a globally relevant franchise like the Warriors would be a masterstroke. Television audiences would skyrocket. Official merchandise would sell in massive numbers, and the emotional connection with millions of fans on the other side of the world would be immediate. For an organization that understands the game both on and off the court, this would be an almost perfect strategic move. But such boldness would not be free from criticism. There will always be those who say Morant and Curry cannot share the ball, that Sotto is still too inexperienced for the NBA level, that Abando might not have the physical tools to endure long and intense seasons. However, it is worth remembering that the Warriors have heard this kind of skepticism before. How many times were people saying that their three-point-based style would not last? How many times did they doubt the potential of players who later became fundamental pieces? This franchise has proven countless times that its ability to reinvent the game should never be underestimated. And that is exactly what makes this possibility so fascinating. It is not just about bringing in new players, but about writing a new chapter in a saga that is already among the greatest in sports history. The Golden State Warriors have become synonymous with revolution, boldness, and innovation. The arrival of Morant, Abando, and Sotto would reaffirm that identity, a team unafraid to take risks, always seeking to be one step ahead, and understanding that success is built on courage. At the same time, this scenario would show that the Warriors are not living in the past. The achievements they have already secured are historic, but true greatness lies in not becoming complacent. It is necessary to look forward, chart new paths, and reignite the fans' dreams. And that is exactly what this idea represents: renewed hope, ambition, and the possibility of creating a new golden era. The NBA, like any great spectacle, feeds on stories. And few stories would be as impactful as the union of Curry and Morant in San Francisco, accompanied by promising youngsters like Abando and Sotto. It would be the perfect combination of tradition and innovation, of experience and youth, of brilliance and explosiveness. And perhaps a few years from now we could look back and realize this was the moment when everything started to change again. In the end, all of this shows that the Golden State Warriors remain more than just a basketball team. They are a living idea, a flame that never goes out, always ready to surprise and challenge the logic of the NBA. The possibility of seeing Ja Morant explode on the court alongside Curry, with Abando and Sotto bringing youth, energy, and representation, is not just a rumor. It is a portrait of how the future can be shaped by boldness. This is the spirit that made the Warriors a dynasty, dreaming big, taking risks when everyone doubted, and proving on the court that nothing is impossible. Now the question is, do you believe this move could actually happen? Are you ready to witness a new golden era being born before your eyes? Share your opinion down below in the comments, because every voice matters in this conversation involving millions of basketball fans. And before you go, don't forget, hit the like button to strengthen this community even more. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss anything. What is coming could change the game forever, and you will want to be part of this journey from the very first chapter.